last reader is Bessie Senette. Louisiana native Bessie Senette has published her first book, Cutting the Clouds, a Bayou Mystics, Poems, Musings, and Imaginings. Currently, she's finalizing Louisiana Pines, a chapbook manuscript. Senette is an author, healer, public speaker, and ordained interfaith minister. In September 2018, she served as artistic director and featured performer of a multidisciplinary arts event celebrating the Sufi poet Rumi. Senette lives in Lafayette, Louisiana, with her husband of 35 years. She has 2 sons, 2 daughters-in-law, 4 grand-pups, and 1 cantankerous grandcat. Please welcome Bessie Senette.
There's a lot of cantankerous in my world. So I too am very happy to be here. If we are to be true to the art form, then we have to believe that words matter, and that how we use them and present them matter. And so, for me, the journey has been one of, the journey of writing has been one of the most rewarding things I've done for myself. If you happen to be moved or enjoy my writing, that's just lagniappe. And lagniappe is a Cajun word that just means extra. You get a little bit extra. And so Cutting the Clouds was a 10-year labor of love. It's filled with brilliant artist work, and it's a full color piece, and I wanted real control over it, so I self-published. Art books are not easy to get publishers to publish. And so the poetry and the art, some of the art was created for the poems, some of the poems were created for the art. And so it went both ways. Almost every piece of art that's in here I personally own. So it's been a labor of love. But this is a book about a journey through my life. So it's kind of, you know, really revealing in a lot of ways, and talks about stages in my life where I became different. So in the first part of the book, in the first chapter, it talks about from conception to birth. What was going on in my mother's world when I was born? What was the culture? What was all of that? The second chapter is about childhood and all of that imprinting that we get of what is right and what is wrong. And then there's the third chapter where most of us are in, except now I've moved on to Crone, but most of us are in this area of busy lives. We have careers, we have children, we have, you know, goals we want to achieve, and so there's a lot to be done. So the third chapter is that busy stuff. But the fourth chapter is a return to wisdom, a return to authenticity, a return to the quiet place inside ourselves that knows who we are, truly who we are. And so it's really a process book. It's not designed to be literary. It's designed to open doors to your own journey so that you can have some insights into that. And I'm only going to read one piece from this. I have 5 broadsheets from this book up on the table, and we can talk about those. But what I want to read in this book is the center page, which is a 2-page poem that, don't get scared, it's not very long. But the artwork, my focus was, most people want to rise above negativity or deny that shadow exists, or try to soften the edges of things that go on in our shadow personality. But I think they deserve equal billing. I think that part of us that gets angry or enraged or doesn't understand something is equally as valuable as the part of us that has the wisdom and the charm and the beauty. And so I wrote this poem called God's Fool. Every direction there I am in duality, shadow, light, scattered into chaos and core solid present. A balancing high wire act of wonderment and apathy, pain and numbness. Brilliance shining in the void, celebration in the midst of desolation. Joy and gratitude living side by side, sorrow, rage. I am a wandering Jew waiting on the Savior that I already know was born in me. God's fool dancing the square all the while a waltz is playing. Hearing it now as though for the first time, a call, a homecoming. My feet are moving to the rhythm of my heart. My original song lifting the corners of my original mouth. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I've forgotten the lyrics to this tune, but it's coming back to me now, slowly, surely. I'll sing it to you just before I go on. The chapbook I've been working on is called Louisiana Pines, and there's a poem in it titled Louisiana Pines. I'm not sure I'm going to read it. But I was in a workshop with Darrell Bork, who was a 2-time poet laureate in Louisiana, and he was talking about imagining what our ancestors what their lives might have been like in southern Louisiana and our Cajun culture in turn of the century. And so I began to write Louisiana Pines as a kind of exploration of our culture and of my heritage. And so this first poem I'm going to read is called Okaji. The earth stretches out of her shell, cracks open to let the light in, wields fire held deep between tectonic plates. One projectile aimed at heaven spawns humanity. When its fire falls back to crackling skin, brandishing a mighty cleansing sword, the suffering begins. Wings come first into the breach, a dark angel or a saint. She gathers all our transgressions. Will we run in fear or welcome the destruction? That angel flies, but who or what will steer the flight? Who will the architects be of the new design? And who will be the builders? Dreamers or survivalists? For thousands upon thousands we have destroyed and rebuilt. Never before or even now do we understand this land we call home, our Kadi. How much is lost or what could be gained? So Kadi is a Mi'kmaq word from the Seneca tribe and influenced a lot of Acadians in the Grand Arrangement when they were exiled from Nova Scotia. They went down into southern Louisiana. And Kadi is a word that means the environment that provides all of your sustenance and your survival. And not just physical, the beauty. And this one is called l'histoire, and in French that means the history. And there are some Cajun words in here. Feu de deux, that's a dance at someone's home with a local musician playing for you. And it's feu de deux means to make sleep, because it was a family affair and you'd bring your babies, and at a certain time when you wanted to start drinking and getting crazy, you would put the babies to sleep. So you'd make the babies sleep so that you could go party, right? But it was always at someone's home. Ilienos is the word that the French people use for the immigrants that came in from the Canary Islands. They were called the islanders, Ilienos. And the people are Spanish-speaking. And then Belle Marie is sweetheart bride, and Fuchu means beyond hope, ruined, done for. Got those? Woodpecking taps of leather shoes on wooden floors at the Fedodo, where my Ilieno ancestor found his Belle Marie. He fell in love with that Cajun beauty, eyes hidden behind gossamer veil, at the wedding of Antoine, the fur trapper. The old wooden pew creaked as he turned to see who sang the haunting hymn with familiar dulcimer tones. He recognized the sound of her. As sure as the cotton was ready for harvest and his labor harvesting pelts for the Jewish buyers in New Orleans would take him away for 3 months into the marsh, coming home, he would smell of nutria, mink, otter, and muskrat, too repulsive, too late to court her. He knew he was Fuchu. Some of you may be familiar that there's folk healing in just about every tradition, but in southern Louisiana they're called traiteurs or traitus, traiteurs being the masculine, traitus being the feminine, and they're hands-on healers, and they have a particular way of doing their folk healing. So this is called Lost in Translation. Born a healer, traditions of a people long forgotten, traiteur and traitus, along Bayou snaking Okaji, wrote prayers in triplicate, only faith heals. Blessing or curse, who can say? The journey is too long to make rash judgments. My voice seeks a different space, inward, quiet, lighted space, my original face, the language of healing before it was lost in translation. Mm-hmm. This is called breath. If a soul takes a single breath, if it surpasses 100 years of breathing, impossible to discern totality of purpose in even one breath. To engage life, embrace suffering, surrender is enough. How we spend each breath matters, fuel for our souls. If it holds true that butterfly wings across the globe form a storm off the coast of Louisiana, air Jesus breathed still circulates through us, then everything that has gone before through ancestral lineage, I inhale into the future and exhale all that I am. This first appeared in Mockingbird Review, thank you. It's called Holy Stick. I was trained by second generation Pueblo in Native American spirituality, and there's huge. If ever you're curious about Native American spirituality, think twice. They're not easy teachers. But I got it. So, Coyote Skywalk, the elder, grandmother, as Pueblo tradition holds, hands me the talking stick. No one but the holder is allowed to speak. She cautions all to listen, and to me, even your ancestors are listening white owl, so speak to them first. Overwhelmed by silence, this sacred listening, how does one breathe it in without first letting go? My heart takes over, unable to speak, this holy stick sticking my tongue to my palate, a moan issues without beckoning. I grasp the stick and weep. Is it true that I have never been given this honor to to be truly heard. Surely, having been heard like this has taught me to listen. And this was inspired by Clare Martin's long poem, Crone. It's called Dust. She hands me a bone. What kind of a gift is an old bone? I cannot understand. Bones hold all memory of creation, she answers my bewilderance. She points to the fire. I know to sit and stare, watching flames dance on starless night, my training ground. Now follow the smoke into the darkness until the last particle of carbon wisp is lost. I travel with it into the abyss, not upward searching for starlight where it all began, but down into the earth surrounded by worms. Suddenly my mother's face appears. Memories of her love crack me open. I bleed into the dirt. Worms feed on me. I turn to dust. I feel the crone's hand stroke my back. She asks, what did you learn? And this is the poem that appears last in the book. It's called When. When did it begin? When humans grunted their first desire? When evolution sprung a limbic brain and the first tear fell to display grief? When the frontal lobe could first reason us from them distinguished? Separation rent the cloth at Golgotha, yet we still bear the weight of the cross, carry it through generations as though salvation was never offered. Will we remember we all return to dust? The sky is sporting a fancy cloud hat. The sky is sporting a fancy cloud hat, feathery with brilliant edge against blue. The sun disk drips rust to the horizon. Art without a brush paints the light over troubled heart before the night goes lightly. And this is the last one. Silence spoke. Sky remembers tears before the great flood. Earth forgot the fire before the quake. After the water sizzled to cold, the ice came and told its legends. Heroes came and died. Magic spent time spinning webs. Then everything cracked. Light leaped into the crevasse. Rocks became diamonds. Mountains became sand. Words came, but only silence spoke.